Hi and welcome everyone. Oh my goodness, it's a Jeremy with a different name. How are you? Hi everyone. It's nice to see you all. I'm going to see everybody this way. Yeah, let's do that. Someone's manipulating my view and I don't want to be manipulated. I can see you better. Hello, translator Natasha. I will speak slowly. Welcome to those of you in studio. If you've never been to one of these classes before, put up your hand so we can point at you. Look. Thanks. There's all these folk here. I don't know if you can see. Do we have that camera on?
I think it's momentarily.
Momentarily. There's a bunch of people here. Neha, wake up. I see you over there. Wake up. Nino, I hope you got an email from me today, or you didn't. Shh, it's a secret. I didn't get through all the emails. Hi, Susan. Hi, Gopika again, and Kelly. Friends from Russia through Canada. It's a pleasure to have you here. So some of you don't know, we have a growing Russian-speaking community from Ukraine, Romania, and Russia. Is there any more? We got some people over here all the way from New York City. They're all smiling. They're like, yeah, I'm just around the corner. Hey, Renata, nice to see you. Did you get an email from me today? Shh, it's a secret because I didn't finish sending the emails. Yeah. Ella, it's nice to see you. There's a bunch of familiar faces. Anna, stop eating breakfast. It's evening. Yeah. Or soup, whatever you're eating. Welcome everyone in studio. It's a pleasure to be with you. I keep saying that. My name is Hector Marcel. You're at 3 Jewels. 3 Jewels is a Buddhist center that opened in New York in 1996 by this awesome nun. Her name is Annie Palmer. She lives in Arizona now, and she just had this idea to create a place of refuge called the 3 Jewels, which is a whole Buddhist pun. Like in Buddhism, what makes you a Buddhist is if you take refuge in the 3 Jewels. And the 3 Jewels are the Buddha jewel, the Dharma jewel, and the Sangha jewel. And what that means is there was a person who was living a regular human conditioned life, except he was a prince and had babies and palace and whatever, and he became the Buddha. He woke up to an illusion of suffering and he figured out how to stop suffering. So he got enlightened. So you take refuge, not in the dude, sorry for those Buddhists who are Puritans, not in the person, but in the fact that our own consciousness has the capacity to transform and not always being suffering. We have the same capacity as a prince who Buddha'd, who woke up, and in doing so reached a state of enlightenment. So there's a whole story about what is enlightenment. Blah, blah, blah. So that's one of the 3 jewels, the fact that our very minds, the very way in which we experience ourselves and the world, does not have to be the way it currently is. It doesn't have to have suffering in the way we're engaged with suffering. And that's a whole story. So that's one of the 3 jewels. The second of the 3 jewels is the fact, this is weird, Dharma comes from the root dur, which means to hold up, the substance of all existence, an ultimate way in which reality exists, sorry for big words, is not the way it appears to the human condition. Like, we're only capable of noticing 4% of reality if you look at dark matter. And, that we have biases which filter reality and we only get a tiny portion of it. Just light itself, we can only see a certain portion of light. We can't see the entire spectrum of light. We know that through inference. But we're locked in the color spectrum that we think is the only colors that you can see. And we're wrong. And we operate in that wrongness. The Dharma, or refuge in the Dharma, means you find a protection from suffering when you understand that the world is way more than we are, that our biases allow us to see. And when you go there, you don't react with more causes of suffering to suffering. I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. I'm saying words that make sense to me. I hope that makes sense. So that's the second of the three jewels, the fact that every existing thing outside or inside of us ultimately is empty of a nature, meaning it can have any nature dependent on the experiencer. And we have a human experience, and there's a dog experience, and there's a cat experience. And all of them combined still doesn't touch the ultimate nature of all things. Things are more than all the viewers combined. And when you understand that, at least intellectually, you get protection from suffering because you understand the real nature behind reality. Buddha jewel, your mind has a nature of changing. If you figure out how to change it, you can Buddha, you can wake up. The Dharma jewel, meaning the fact that all existing things are also empty of a nature and don't have to be experienced as suffering or terrible or dog view or human view only. And the Sangha jewel is every consciousness that has transcended the suffering state, every being that has seen this reality, learned it or experienced it, becomes a refuge for us because they can open the door to helping us see it. Does that make some sense? It's big words, and the words are not the thing. They refer to a thing, which can't put words on, because as soon as you lock a word onto it, you're stuck in a prison. You're stuck in a bias. Buddhism's really trippy like that, and that's why I love it. And that's why I keep saying, don't become those Buddhists. Yeah, because as soon as you lock into, I'm a good Buddhist, you're screwed. Because you're locking yourself into some kind of frame, that frame alone is your reality. And it's not. It's pointing to a reality that really you can't name. Yeah, they say that when you have an ultimate experience of actually viscerally experience that reality after a bunch of training and practices, mostly meditation and kindness, together. After you habituate your mind enough to understand that behind the colors and shapes that we're forever engaging with, there is another reality that is deeper and freer from the breakages in this reality, that after you habituate your mind enough through practice and all these Buddhist practices, mostly meditation, that you could have in meditation a visceral experience of that reality. And when you do, you really have full protection, because you're no longer then reacting to a fake appearance. You're responding to a reality, at least intellectually, even if things appear differently. Anyway, this is Three Jewels, and that's what it means. I got distracted early on. But it's fascinating. Like, if you heard what I said and it made some meaning, it's effing incredible. Like, you're in the Matrix and someone's saying, hey, you can get out of the Matrix, and you believe it. You understood it and interpreted it and engaged with it. And according to Buddhists or wake-upists, that's also not the nature of things, but you have an awesome nature to be able to see that you can get out of a locked suffering, which gave you I don't know which pill, is it the red pill? Yeah? You know for certain. I'm like, yes, I know it's one of the pills. The red pill. I like that it's a red pill. So at least you're giving the option, and intellectually you can see what it might give you. I think taking the red pill is doing the practices and then dropping the dressing of the practices that are wake-uppers practices or Buddhist practices, and actually having a valid, undoubted experience of reality, of yourself and the world. And the best way I can describe that is, anyway, I'm still in the introduction. I'm Hector. This is Three Jewels. Three Jewels means that. It's a Buddhist center, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, please don't think that, oh, now I'm a good Buddhist, because you're trapped in your idea of what a Buddhist is. I know I was for a long time. It's hard to wrestle with that and actually make it into a really awakening practice. What I mean by that is, if you've ever fallen in love, like not maybe before falling in love, when you're like super excited to meet someone because they look hot and sexy and they like you back, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, they like me. You know, like you're all committed, you're all excited. You're dumping a whole bunch of your bullshit on them. And that's really what you're excited about because you haven't gotten to know them yet. Really. Then the problems come after the initial honeymoon period, they say. Right? And I'm sort of really happy about that because what it shows is that whatever the bullshit we dumped has beauty in it. Like you have the capacity to project beauty, expect it, and feel it, which means you have that power, you have that capacity. The problem then becomes when it fades and you thought it was in them and now they're a piece of shit. The same person you totally loved, like, oh, yo, I'll do anything for you, like 3 weeks later, a year, whatever the time is, like you're the source of my problems. It's the same creature, right? And something changed, and we think what changed was them. Or they'll say something, at least this is how it works. It works. I was going to say worked as if I'm some high and mighty practitioner. This is how it works for me. Let's say I have an argument with my holy partner who's outside. We just celebrated 9 years together. That's 9 years of arguments, right? 9 years of really good arguments. No, if you met Stephen, he just taught a yoga class. What a blessing and what a dumpster fire. That we're both in the dumpster fire going, oh, learning. Anyway, thanks, Sam. That was, I think, the last time I'll honor your phrase, dumpster fire. Yeah. Sam did a teacher, was it at the teacher training that you said dumpster fire and then I could never stop? It's just such a good description. Just say yes or no. Yeah, good. No, it wasn't. At some other point, she said dumpster fire in describing the human condition, and it's so perfect because there's this visual of us just pushing this dumpster and it's just on fire, and we are so attached to our own dumpster fires. We're like, don't touch it. Like we're just pushing it and it's burning. And anyway, I digress. All that to say, welcome, my name is Hector, you're at 3 Joules. 3 Joules means that you get real protection from suffering if you understand what reality is about. And the Buddhists are very technical about what that means. Nothing else will give you protection but the understanding that that you could take a red pill and see beyond what we're currently seeing, the reality that is beyond it. And that takes some effort, that takes some practice. It doesn't happen naturally, but a great example is your partners, or when you think you're getting sexy time, you know, like, oh, someone says, put up the makeup. Not that I put on the makeup, you know, but you dress up in a certain way and you think dressing up is going to give that person just the right signals to like you. And if it did, and this is what Buddhism is so amazing about, if you think that the lipstick or the dress or the clothes is the thing that makes you hot for someone, to someone, not for someone, to someone, English second language, yeah, then Buddhists would say any time, if the red lipstick for Hector and the fancy clothes on that night out that you're hoping you're going to get like googly eyes with someone, if the power of exciting another was in the red lipstick and that, then everybody that looked at you when you walked out with the red lipstick and the dress must have exactly the same response as you're hoping from your partner. Because if you think it comes from the way you dress and look. And so Buddhists like destroy our way of dealing with reality instantly. And in destroying that, saying, if it's true that, let's use red lipstick, right? Just because that's a iconography that we use. If red lipstick was the source of why people would like you, anybody that wore red lipstick must be liked because it's emanating from the red lipstick. Yeah, so when my 90-year-old grandma puts it on, everyone should be like, oh, can I date you, please, grandma? And there'll be some people who do see her as stunning and would say that to her. And there's some people that would be revolted that an old lady wearing red lipstick is a little flirty or floosy or whatever. I don't know why I keep looking at you, but I'm enjoying it. Sorry. It's the red lipstick. She's wearing lipstick. No. It's a big question, right? If the goodness that you think you're going to get came from the red lipstick, if you just used 1 second of logic, you would have to say, therefore, red lipstick causes that lovey feeling in people's heart. If that were true, everyone would be wearing red lipstick because the goodness comes from the lipstick. And we know that not to be true. It's so simple, we miss it. It's so simple, we just miss it. Because we're so used to going, oh, I'm going to dress up. Buddhists say, well, there's one guy that liked grandma. Why did he like grandma? It can't be in the lipstick, because if it was in the lipstick, everybody would like whoever wears that lipstick. Is that making sense, what I'm saying so far? You following the logic? But that one guy likes it, everyone else disliked grandma wearing lipstick. And a miniskirt, let's put a miniskirt on grandma. Yeah? The one guy is like totally for it. He's like, oh my God, I can't wait to buy you roses, or whatever the nominal thing is. Buddhists would say that guy has incredible karma because he's upon that same object, a grandma with a miniskirt and red lipstick, his heart flutters. Everyone else doesn't, or some people are neutral, some people do. It can't be in the lipstick, it must be in his experience of that. And the rejection can't be in the lipstick, it must be in the other's experience of that. And the neutrality can't be in the lipstick, it must be in others' experience of that. And then Buddhism really turns this world upside down by saying, don't look out there, look in here. Something caused that guy to fall in love and chase grandma in the miniskirt. Something caused this person to reject grandma and be embarrassed. Yeah, that was me. Yeah, how about grandma running around in a miniskirt? When I first met my grandma, she was in a miniskirt and wearing red lipstick. And she had big hair, like big spray hair. Like, you know that. She grew up in the 50s, so she had the beehive hair. And she was tanning with a tiny miniskirt, psychedelic print. Honestly, this is my grandma. I'd never met her until I was 11. Right? I thought she was the coolest thing. When my mum met her, because they'd been estranged for 10 years, she was embarrassed. So that's why I'm thinking when I'm trying to put a picture of grandma in your head. Why do two people have different experiences of the thing? And under analysis, just thinking through it for 2 seconds, the cause of your experience can't be in the thing. It must be in you. And so we flip our attention from trying to change the world out there. That doesn't mean you don't change the world out there. You just stop getting refuge or thinking that's going to save you from suffering. You realize that, oh, there's something happening in me in relation to things that causes me happiness or unhappiness and neutrality. Like that's the 3 flavors, right? Oh, I really love grandma. I hate grandma. I'm somewhere in the gray line in between. And that's true for everyone you've ever hung out with. I often think about this in the workplace, right? You have if you work, not that anyone has a workplace anymore, but when you get the idea of a workplace, people in a room, right? Together in a big room.
You know, workplace.
yeah. This is a workplace. Yeah. If you just hang out with the people you liked, and we said, okay, let's listen to your mind liking people. So let's say these people I like, so it's just because you're there with a red lipstick. Yeah? Sorry, guys and girls. These people I'm neutral about, and these people I don't like, sorry. Tyler and Emily's. And all of you, no. So like, neutral, dislike, right? If all of a sudden I said, okay, let's erase everyone I don't like. Yeah? I'll be happy then. We're just hanging out in the workplace. It would take less than a day for our minds to begin to say, out of all the people I like, these people I really like, those people I'm sort of neutral about, and those two over there, sorry. I'm not sure I like. I mean, think of this. We do this through life. Okay, so let's get rid of the neutrals and the ones that I don't like in the group that I like, and get the few crazy people that I really like. They're my besties. I totally like them. It won't take long before our minds, not them, begin going, out of those three, I think I like you better. Like, the red lipstick on you looks awesome. Sorry, there's some dude over there. I don't know your name. You two, it's just red lipstick. I've seen it before. But on you, it looks so good. You're like, thank you very much. I feel so seen. And our minds do that all the time. And this is how we create problems in our world. Because what I really did, according to the Buddhists, what I really did in that division of my biases, which I misunderstood as you did things I like, you do things I'm neutral about, you do things I don't like. So push them away, ignore them, bias towards them. And that's my action out in the world, because I misunderstood that the feelings I'm having don't come from the red lipstick. They come from me in relation to the objects out there. I misunderstood that. And so there's this thing called ignorance in Buddhism, and it just means misunderstanding the world. Thinking that there's some nature in the red lipstick or in your behavior that I'm neutral about, or in your behavior that I dislike. Misunderstanding that it's my mind creating the experiences here, not your behavior in here. And that should send alarm bells to us who are living in the normal world, right? And they are addressed in Buddhist practice. But I'm going to leave them for a second. Follow the logic. When I misunderstand that it's out there causing this experience, then I push away the things I dislike. And what I did at that millisecond is my mind was aware of pushing or disliking or hating or blaming. Fair? Who heard that? My mind heard that. Oh, look at that stupid, the way he sits, sorry. Look how stupid that looks, right? My mind is doing this narrative all the time. Look how stupid that looks, sorry. Bob, I'll pick on Bobby. Look, he's trying to be a good Buddhist. Look, he's trying to be so still. He's showing off, right? I think his posture is showing off. Don't you all agree? Look at him. Wish you could see him. He's really showing off. He's like perfect bloody Instagram posture. But you see, it's so quick we miss it. If that posture meant showing off, everyone that sat in that posture must be showing off. And that's not true. You know that just by thinking a second. But I was so sure, and my mind couldn't help itself. And so all of a sudden, my mind has added a narrative. What a piece of shit, show off. Oh, no, I'm just adding to it. Sorry, Bobby. What a piece of shit. I'm just amplifying. But see, Bobby's not even aware that I'm thinking these things. But I am. And they don't disappear, because things that move don't disappear. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. What's the law of thermodynamics? No, just the basic law of physics, right? Yeah, Newton's law, that no energy is destroyed. It just Why wouldn't thought do the same? Why wouldn't a movement of consciousness do the same? In fact, it does it much faster, the Buddhists say. It multiplies every 24 hours, according to the Buddhists. Every thought you have, and then every word you say about the thought you have, or every action you do because you had a thought. These are called the three doors of expression: what you think, what you say, and what you do. Body, speech, and mind, right? There's an awareness of all of that in the little narrative recording machine that is your brain, that is your mind, not your brain, yeah, your mind. And those things don't disappear, they grow exponentially. Every 24 hours, doubling. And they say 65 finger snap are recorded. How many times do you think people are pieces of shit? How many times are you judging people? How many times do you think someone's annoying? How many times are you saying, Hector, shut up? Right? How many times? How many times? You get to eat that. Bobby might not even be aware that I'm having these thoughts about him, and he might just be in bliss, sitting in his bloody perfect posture. And I'm the one that's annoyed. And someone else might look at Bobby and just be inspired and go, I want to sit like that. Bobby, would you teach me? Please, Bobby, I'd like to be more like you. And then there's a Hector going, you're a piece of shit, show off. And then there's another person going, Bobby, please, you're such a good practitioner, would you teach me? And that person records that in their mind. And that has a consequence too. The wish to aspire to be as good as you see someone. That humbling feeling where your self-grasping is gone for a second because you're inspired by someone's goodness. That also has a consequence. 65, a finger snap. So too does every time you've had a beautiful thought. So too every time you've wished goodness upon someone. So too when you wish someone had money that didn't have money, when you wish someone was happy that was unhappy, when every time your mind moved to a kindness, to a goodness, or to a wisdom that understood where the world came from, that's also a movement of your mind, an awareness that there's more than my stupid perspective. That also grows exponentially every 24 hours. And so the wake-uppists, having understood that, that's the matrix. It appears out there, but it comes from here. All of their practices are around placing just the right, powerful, expansive, uplifting, all engaging, all transforming imprints in your mind. And they don't stop at anxiety. I don't want any more anxiety, so I'll try and help people not be anxious. They're like, yeah, don't worry. They'll die of cancer. So why don't you do cancer too, as well as anxiety? Why don't you do deep mental suffering, not just anxiety? Why don't you do self-esteem as well? And so every single wake-uppers practice is reliant on the refuge that the three jewels provide. The refuge being, it doesn't matter what Bobby sits like. What matters is what you're thinking, saying, and doing in relation to that, because you eat that and you grow that. And if it's vile, welcome to your future. It'll be vile. And if it's blissful, welcome to your future. It'll be blissful. And if it has misunderstanding in it, meaning I think he is projecting this feeling, then it has a shelf life. It breaks after a while because you've misunderstood where it came from. You can't sustain it. If you hear what I just said, that's a powerful statement. Samsara, the cycle of coming and going, the big wheel painting that you see in that middle room, that's a description of existence. The greatest things disappear, not because they can't be sustained, but because we misunderstood what caused them. You liked the boyfriend or the girlfriend, and you thought they were the cause of everything, but you were wrong. You're the cause of your experience of them. And in that wrongness, you create misunderstanding in relation to that goodness, and that has a shelf life. It breaks. And it doesn't have to, if you understood what sustains it, the fact that it comes from you. And that's called Buddhist wisdom, wake-uppist wisdom or insight. That says, wow, I understand the engine through which all existence arises. Things are empty of a nature, meaning not that they don't exist, but they don't exist only the way I think they do. They do exist. For the guy that liked grandma with the miniskirt, he really liked her. It's not that he was pretending and he was wrong or stupid. His mind actually liked her, for real. And he had a better time than me, who was all judgy about grandma. I get to live the consequences. Next time I try and put clothes on, that try and make me look sexy, I will notice someone disliking me. You see what I mean? Like my mind won't help do that. Someone will come and either say something annoying to me that my mind will interpret as annoying or rejecting or the rest, but not because it truly exists out there. It's because I now have the causes to be forced to see that thing out there that way because that's what I planted. And then all of a sudden, if you understand what I just said, you get an ultimate kind of power back to you that you never even thought you had. And then it takes some time to wield that power because we're so used to thinking things outside of us create our experience. I hope that's landing for you. Like I hope that's landing. So I'm still in the introduction. You're at 3 joules. It's a play. And the reason I wanted to get there is because if you understand that, then you will understand every Buddhist practice. If not, you're just going to be dogmatic religious Buddhist or whatever the hell you want to be. And that won't, it can help you relatively, right? Some discipline and some control and some effort to kindness can help you. But if it has misunderstanding in it, because I'm a good Buddhist and only Buddhists are good and the Christians are not so good, then you're screwed. It's a human condition that we're undoing, and Buddhists don't own reality. They can describe it really well. They've got literature, but they don't own reality. Like, who were the guys that invented the airplane? Not invented, but flew. The Wright brothers. They were right. Ha ha! Funny joke. No. Sorry for dad jokes. They don't own gravity. You see what I mean? They just figured out how to work with it. Gravity or whatever the physics thing that they figured out is. I don't know how to fly planes. But you see, someone that has a realization of, in Buddhism they say suchness, or the ultimate reality, the way things truly exist, meaning they're empty of a nature, meaning they don't only have the nature grandpa experiences, right? Now I've made him into grandpa. That nature is true for him. It is a reality. It's not that there is no reality. Emptiness means there's no reality like you think there was. There is a reality. Ultimately, you will not find a single milliparticle of essence in anything. I think last week we talked about the bubbly water that I like so much being a death trap for flies or ants. Which is it? If it's death trap, I should be dying because I just drank it. If it's the best nourishing thing, then the ants that fall in there should be enjoying themselves, not dying. And it sounds like a trick, right? It sounds like I'm just playing semantics, but it's not. And so, all that to say, I don't know what miracle exists in those of you who can hear what I'm saying. I don't know what power, what goodness, if you hear what I'm saying, which is suffering can be transcended. Human condition is not the only condition. It doesn't have to stay this way, and it doesn't have to turn sour all the time. That there is such a thing as wake up being, buddhi-ing, that you could reach a state if you knew exactly what to plant in your consciousness. You could reach a state where every movement of your mind would show you nothing but bliss, and not just for you, but for every creature you engaged with. Like, I don't know how many of you walk down New York Street and judge the F out of everyone. Yeah, get out of my way. Stop honking that effing horn. Like, that's my narrative, and I've been practicing this shit for 25 years. No, sorry for saying shit like that. Our minds have this inertia, and it ain't going to produce any goodness until you tame it. Yeah? I don't know what miracle makes us understand logically that there is a way out of this condition. And it doesn't mean that you go to heaven. It is right here, right now, in the space between these words, in the moments between the sound coming out of my mouth and the eardrum vibrating and the awareness of the words, and you're shaping those words into meaning, each of you differently, somewhere in that, reality is pregnant with possibility. And if you hear it, that's a movement of the mind caused by some action similar in the past that you did to teach someone something. Our capacity to learn comes from our mental seeds of teaching earnestly. Our capacity to have hope, it comes from giving others hope. Do you see the connection? Can you see it? It's not doing it out there. You still got to do things out there, but what's 90% important is what your narrative is as you're doing it. So I don't know how many of you are walking around Manhattan going, what a boring piece of shit, look at that dress, look at whatever you're doing that isn't nice. You're eating all those seeds. You're creating those realities. Wake-upism says, and you have to get it intellectually first, that because every moving creature on the subways and on the streets is empty of a nature, meaning you don't have to think, what a show-off. You could think anything. And anything is a big spectrum. It's sort of infinite, right? You could think anything. Then the possibility is available for you to look at that guy in the corner, and say there's a Buddha there, meaning there's a being who's just pure love and wisdom. And what if you walked around the streets of New York actually believing that, if nothing else, the potential is in there? Because if you practice that, that's a practice, right? Walking around imagining everyone's best qualities. If you do that long enough, your mind won't be able to stop from experiencing everyone's good qualities. Even while someone's being annoying in the subway, you're thinking, oh, what a sweet experience I just had. And someone's like, shut up. And you're like, oh, the sounds of music in New York City. These practices are predicated on the understanding that things don't have a nature, and every movement of your mind creates the nature that you're forced to experience based on what you thought, said, or did in the past that left an imprint called your narrative, and then you live that narrative. Is that okay? Can I get like thumbs up if that's making sense? You have that. You live in that. But you're barred from seeing it day to day if you're anything like me, because it seems to be that if I wear lipstick, they like me. So then I associate, if I wear lipstick, they like me. At some point, they won't. Therefore, it wasn't in the lipstick. But if you knew that all the time you were wearing lipstick, you're imagining something else rather than it's in the lipstick and now they should like me, and why don't they like me, and then I don't like you if you don't like me. That's creating cycles of ups and downs. But if you put on the lipstick, because it's still a thing, you can still put on the lipstick and go, I don't give a rat's what people think. I hope that when people see the red in my lipstick, that they feel some goodness. And if they don't, I hope they don't create a bad imprint in them. You know? If you just walk around with lipstick going, I'm going to be like a blessing in the world, like grandma walking around in beautiful red lipstick and a mini skirt. She's like, I'm just going to be lovely today and let people enjoy the lovely. She eats that in her mind. She creates that in her mind. If she has the wisdom that understands that her intent is the main thing in the activity, she's off to some paradise. She's off to experiencing goodness. And that's all you need to do for yourselves. Whatever that bliss is, step into that bliss. But you do it with the wisdom. That's a refuge. The wisdom that understands what you're really doing is imprints. Now, you still have to engage with the apparent reality. It doesn't mean that anything goes. You're still locked in the awareness that slapping someone across the face probably doesn't feel great. Fair? So you can't say, I'm going to slap you in the face with the best intention and get away with the consequences of being slapped. You see what I mean? That 90% is intention, but the slap itself is also an awareness of your mind, watching the hand, smacking the face, them going, ouch. Like you're also recording that. So you can't pretend that, because I've seen some practitioners get a little high and mighty and go, oh, anything goes then. So it's a fine line. Everything that your mind is aware of in your actions of body, speech, and mind is recorded and will have a consequence. And the typical thing that, well, I guess we use in this system as a simplified version of explaining that is, if you really want a partner, after 9 years, no, if you really, as a joke, of course, sorry. No, if you really want a partner, or you want to improve your relationship with your current partner, in colloquial wake-upism, we say, you should plant some seeds of partnership, right? And what are the qualities that you want in a partner? Oh, I want to be listened to. I want someone to like me. I want someone to pay attention to me. Like whatever those qualities are, you've got to actively go and plant them by doing that towards others. So you go to a nursing home. You might find grandma with a miniskirt and lipstick, and you sit there and you listen to grandma going, oh, tell me about your life. You know, I'm interested in your life. So you go help grandma. And you might go and show up to the nursing home once a week or something like that, spend an hour with a cup of tea with the intention that you give her exactly what you want, which is, it's nice to be heard. That will plant seeds of finding companionship, right? So that's a typical example we use in the system. And then people object. They go, wait a minute, if I want a boyfriend or a girlfriend, I have to go to the nursing home, yeah. They're old in there. Yeah, that's okay. It's still a mind, right? What's important is the intention with which you listen to someone's story, right? You give them companionship. You're planting seeds. You're being aware of giving someone companionship. That must give you, in your future, the narrative that projects companionship, and that will someone you'll meet and you feel listened to. Fair? Does that make sense? That example. So people then object to that and go, yeah, but aren't I just using the old lady? Like, aren't I just like, I really want a boyfriend, and so I'm going to go put up with this old bag. She keeps telling me the same old bloody story over and over. Yeah, Grandma, you told me about World War II last week. You know, like, isn't that a little selfish to use Grandma to get a boyfriend? It's a fair objection. It's a fair objection. So the answer is, if you understand cause and effect of consciousness, right, of projections of narratives, you must get someone that, if you plant them earnestly, like go listen to Grandma. Sorry, now you're Grandma. Yeah, you go listen to Grandma. You've done it for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and you go to nursing home regularly, and your mind is full of these potentials. Yeah, but towards the end, you're sort of annoyed. You're just using her. When is his boyfriend coming? You know. And you have that awareness too. You eat everything that you're aware of. So you will find a partner, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and you will be heard. But they'll be selfish bastards. They'll be like all about them, right? And because you can't get away from what you're planting. You can't get away from everything that your mind is doing. And if you hear that, then you should get scared, because most of our minds are full of garbage. It is a dumpster fire in there. And if you haven't figured it out, meditate for a week. Just meditate. And meditate means shut everything off, get some single-pointed concentration, focus a little bit, drop off all the stories of what you got to do and what you didn't do and whatever, and just notice what comes up, what's in my mind. And after a while, it's noticeable that it's not all great. and then we get the tendency to go and be down on ourselves. But Buddhists are not like that. They're like very, what's the word? Not analytical, they're pragmatic. Who said that? Barut. Yeah. Pragmatic. They're like, oh, there's a garbage in this dumpster. Let's take the garbage out. And I think us in the West tend to go, oh, there's garbage in the dumpster. I am garbage. I'll never stop being garbage. Oh my God, I'm so garbage. Please, everybody pay attention to me. I'm garbage. And then you're just adding more self-identifying garbage in your dumpster fire. You're just adding garbage. The pragmatists are like, oh, something produced garbage. Let's undo the garbage. That's nicer. It's way more effective too. I mean, one of the things that got me to see that early on is to realize that there's this process. We covered it last week, how to remove old negative imprints in our minds. Those karmas of having thought, said, or done things that hurt others, they're growing in us at 24 times, doubling every 24 hours, right? So the last time you yelled at someone and said, you're an asshole, you're actively nurturing and growing that in your mind every 24 hours. Someone's coming up to you and really giving it to you. Because seeds grow into big results, not little results. So if you yelled at someone and held in your mind, you're an asshole, I want you to hurt. You're actively growing that every 24 hours, and you must meet that result. You can't pretend it won't appear. And you can't complain when it does. So last week we taught how to get rid of those, or at least dent them so they don't grow into big things. They're called the 4 forces. It's a sutra called the 4 forces. How to actively dent that in your mind. I have no idea why I just went there.
Have you talked about that sutra?
Can I talk about the sutra? I talked about it last week, at the end of the session last week. It's an important thing to be able to remove every tiny negativity that you caused while listening to grandma. Going, oh, come on, old bag, just tell me the story again. I want a boyfriend. The act was virtuous. You will meet someone. You're going to get equal results. Someone going, come on, I'm sick of you doing this. Let's go out now. What I'm saying is, once you see the dumpster fire, that's what I was saying. In that process of the 4 forces where you actively dent or remove negativities that are multiplying your mind, and it's a daily practice and you can do it, there is this, one of the forces called the force of regret, where you think, oh, I was an ass to grandma. I wish I wasn't, because now I have to live the consequences of that. And this is kind of pragmatic regret. It's not like what I'm used to growing up in South America, which is guilt. Oh my God, I'm a bad person. Now I'm an extra bad person. It's like kind of enjoyment about being a bad person. I'm so bad. According to the Buddhists, that's such a waste of time. They don't have a word in the Tibetan lexicon for guilt. There's no word for guilt. Imagine that, not having a word to describe that thing that we all do. Well, not all of us, right? The Tibetans apparently don't. Imagine not having a name for a thing, because the thing doesn't exist. And the best they have is, because they're pragmatists, intelligent regret. That's the closest thing you have. You're like, oh, I did that to grandma. Intelligent regret means I understand that has consequences. Now you have intelligence. That's going to have a consequence. Regret is like, I don't want that consequence. I want that out of my dumpster. It's going to catch on fire with all the other stuff. I keep pushing around my big dumpster fire. I'm doing okay. What I really wanted to tell you today is that there are so many Buddhist practices, so many, and so much detail in each one of them, and they will all function if you understand the nature of things, empty of a nature, therefore changeable, awesome, and what's called karma or dependent origination. What I do leaves an imprint in my mind that creates the narrative I step into. With that understanding, you would be able to understand why there's this thing called the Bodhisattva path. Those of you studying with Earl and Sarah on Thursdays, that's all about the 6 perfections, 6 broad ways in which you have to be an awesome bloody do-gooder. Go out into the world, and doesn't matter if the world's an ass, you get busy planting awesomeness. Even if people are terrible, there's a teaching in there that says, if you get hit with a stick, do you get angry at the stick or at the arm that pushed it? Or at the person that drove the arm? Who do you get angry at? Do you get angry at the stick? No, you get angry at the bastard that pushed the arm, right? So when you have a negativity come up, if someone's losing their shit in the subway, do you get angry at them or at the misunderstanding that drove them to do the crazy thing in the first place? And that's a call for you to have compassion. Why? Does the asshole need compassion? Sorry to use strong language. No, they probably deserve a slap in the face, right? Wake the F up. Don't be an ass to other people. Like, that's probably okay. But you're going to have to live with that consequence. So isn't it better to wish that they didn't have the affliction? That they didn't go crazy in the subway and yell at everyone? And in looking for that, you might actually feel that and experience that. And you might actually end up loving the person that you hate. And then you're free. You're free. That's a radical, radical way to engage with reality. You ain't going to get happy bubble wrapping yourself away from all the terrible things, because everyone's pushing around a dumpster fire. And you're going to get burnt with everyone's dumpster fires. But if you turned your dumpster fire into something that emanated rainbow lights and unicorns, I'm now trying not to be too trippy, because it doesn't have a nature. The nature comes from us. And so something that might have been upsetting to you in the past could, if you planted the right seeds, flip into at least an insight, a realization, an awakening moment, an awakening before the suffering occurred. You could catch it, you could shift the narrative. If you saw that because you understood its nature, the world is yours. And it's not about Instagram followers, and it's not about money in the bank, and it's not about sexy time or lipsticks or mini skirts or nursing homes. Although that's how we engage with the world, it's about your experience in all those realities. And so you could be walking around the same New York City that everyone thinks this is a piece of garbage. Look at the rats in the subway with the pizza, going, that's disgusting. And it would be valid for someone like you to look at that and go, look at the magic of this world. We make pizza for rats. What an act of kindness. Like, it's valid. Like, you could have that moment. And people will call you mad. But what if you weren't mad? What if you remember hating the pizza on the subway and all of a sudden loving it? Who's better off? I mean, the rat's okay. It's got the pizza. They're having an awesome experience, right? So the bottom line here is, if you're going to take up some practice, doesn't matter which tradition, so long as it has the understanding that everything you do, say, and think will leave an imprint, and that imprint will be your reality. If you get that, then go ahead and study Buddhism, Wake-upism. Go ahead and study whatever. In addition to that, you're never not practicing something. Your mind is never not imprinting. Whether you call it Buddhism or you call it whatever. Your mind is never not creating a reality that you will step into. Why? Because your mind is moving 65 times a finger snap, judging everything about you and the world, and all of that has consequences. All of that seeds that create a forest you step into later. You choose the forest by saying, I want this, I don't want this, with wisdom, and then you just wait for the forest to grow. That's where you own your life. And to add urgency to it, you ain't got time. Just look up for a second and see all the other bastards that have lived this planet. You can have one of those lives. What is it? Picket fence, university degree? And I'm not saying don't. You can have an amazing time with a university degree and picket fence and a career, but this precious thing that is you, this precious thing that is your life, what will you do with it? And I invite you to do kindness. And not just selfish kindness, like listen to grandma, well, come on, I want a boyfriend. I'm like, genuinely, these practices will lead you to fall in love with everyone. You could walk out of the door and look into people's eyes, and don't look too far because then they think you're weird, right? Just for, and realize that they are just like you, wanting some happiness. And why wouldn't you want it for them if you want it for you? That's a way more powerful way to live a day. How do you do that? Meditate. Meditate. Because what meditation does, it's not like super spiritual and awesome. I'm so annoyed at all the perfect meditation bloody postures on Instagram. It's supposed to get you to be hyper aware of what your mind is imprinting all the time. And so you practice on the cushion, and then you because it's no distractions, just you in your room. I can pay attention to the breath. I can pay attention to a sound. I can pay attention to an image. Can you concentrate your mind and have some control over it? If you do, you take that control to the subway and you rein in your mind when it says asshole. You're like, no, not asshole. Full of potential. Maybe there's something else. And then you own your life for real. Ladies and gentlemen, also, 3 more days for our meditation teacher training. Like, it closes on Friday. Some of you here have received a letter of acceptance. Congratulations. Some of you have yet to send you emails. Any other announcements I'm supposed to make? If you have questions, thanks Kelly, that you'd like me to talk about in, hey Russian, I hadn't seen you before. Sorry. If you have questions that you'd like me to incorporate into the talks, take that QR code and write some questions, and I'll incorporate them or answer them if they're really cool. Battery's dying in about a minute. If I cut out, I'm saying goodbye in advance because I don't know what happened to the power. 3 Joules is a non-profit. We operate by donations. I don't know what happened last week, but people donated a ton of cash to our meditation teacher training scholarships. And I have this incredible opportunity to offer something like 25 scholarships to people that we weren't able to. Partial scholarships, yeah, which is awesome. Awesome. We had like 40 applicants. So there's also 3 days left for the applications for scholarships have closed. There's 3 days left for anyone that wants to take up the training. And then October 1st, we start 10 weeks of the most incredible analysis and look into what the hell your mind does, how to meditate, how not to meditate, why meditate, etc., etc. So that's happening. Most of 3 Joules is in Hawaii at weddings, so you're going to probably get 2 people running all the classes. I hope you enjoy. If you're in Hawaii, go Pika, say hi. Yeah, she's like, yeah, surfing. Say hi to everyone when they go hang out there. I want to say hi to Emily and Alan. It's such a blessing to have you here. I tell you, I never get a time to connect with you properly. It's total blessing. They used to help 3 Joules by being on the board and helping us make decisions to get us to the place that we're at right now. So it's a blessing to have you here. Thank you. Same with Lily and Anthony, who are currently helping on the board. And then a bunch of people that I absolutely love. If Ninon can hang out with Hannibal in Canada, if the Russians from Russia, Ukraine, and the rest are there, thank you for listening. All the previous meditation teacher training graduates, thanks for keep coming back and growing your work and keep teaching meditation. And everyone in studio, thanks for making community work and for getting your minds to the most extraordinary possibility that is available. It's always there. You're going to forget 3 minutes away from here, but it's always there. If you remember anything, remember that. Okay? Lots of love. Michael, goodbye. Anna, goodbye. Francesca, goodbye. Natasha, keep clicking so the Russians know what to say. How do you say click in Russian? I don't know. Nicole, thank you. And everyone who volunteers to help 3 Jewels continue, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're about to start the meditation teacher training, put on your seatbelt. Got it, Renata? Good. And everyone else. Hey, Russian. Okay, goodbye, everyone. Goodbye. This is the show. Yeah. Bloody. Okay, goodbye from me.